Boop, 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 boop. Freudian Slips. I might have done that exact one. It's so hard for me to be creative. Hello, Danny.
Hello, Ollie.
And everyone, welcome back to Freudian Slips, where we discuss the thinks, the shrinks, and the kinks of the mental health field. I might have reversed a few of those.
You're good. You're good.
Okay. Okay. So Danny's, you have your outlines for the sessions and for some of our topics. And today I have done mine where I've got more questions. I think
Okay.
we've done some fun like therapist Q&As. And I think these relate a little more to like in session things that have happened or things that we've experienced. And they've just come up in casual conversation or things that every now and again I'm like, oh yeah, like I wonder what like other therapists' views on this would be or what their answer would be. So I've compiled a little list that I want to ask Danny.
Okay. This is really fun because these are
Okay.
the times where I get to sit back and just kind of take it in.
I know. Okay. So I know that you got to look at them to kind of prep yourself.
Mhm.
So, number one is I'm curious if there's a question you ask during sessions that you find consistently insightful and why. Or if there's just a certain question that regardless of what kind of client you're working with, you notice you'll kind of ask.
I end all of my intakes with this question,
Ooh, okay.
and that is what is the one thing that I haven't asked, or what is the one thing I don't know about you that you think is important for me to know so that I can help you?
That's really good, I should do that. That's a good one.
That's the response I usually get is the I like that question because it's been so focused throughout the whole 60 minutes and often
Yeah.
that they're coming in with a very specific goal. And so the questions are kind of like tailored towards that. But this last question really kind of like cuts that maybe tension or focus and kind of snaps them into just the reality of two people talking that it's like yeah, all of this stuff is important, but there's this other thing that I think is important for you to know, or there's this one question that you didn't ask that if we have only 5 more minutes to talk about, I think it's really important that you ask.
Ooh, do you tend to get an answer? Or,
Yeah.
like, do people kinda have something that are like, "Oh, actually, yes, I really wanted to tell you," or does it kinda take them a minute and sometimes they're like, "Oh, I have celiac disease?" Sorry, I just randomly thought of that as, like, I don't know.
It's like a 70-30, 70-30. Good answers, 30%. I got nothing. Because sometimes it's just been an overwhelming hour and they don't really have anything else to say, or they're just reeling from all the questions I've asked them.
Yeah.
They just don't have anything left for the hour. But 70% of the time, I get the "ooh," I they get really excited. Th They either wanna share something that's really important to them that pertains to what they're coming in for, or just as an individual, they might say, "Hey, I wanna be doing this. I'm glad that we're seeing you, but this is also really important." And that might be, I need someone who's very direct. I need someone who's able to call me out on my shit, or, what you haven't asked is that do I have a history of this thing coming up? And I do. I have had a hit of history of dealing with this, or
Mm.
it's shown up in so many different ways. This has happened to multiple people in my family. So, yeah, sometimes these questions that are simple but very good questions just kind of get lost in the process and it comes up for them. They have an opportunity to give me the answers.
Ooh, that's a good one, and I kind of like it because it almost sounds like a cop out to the question.
What do you mean?
Like me asking, "Okay, what's a question that you tend to ask that you find insightful?" I just think it's funny the answer is like, "Oh, is there anything I haven't asked?"
Oh, sure.
You know? Like, it almost feels like a cop out. Oh, that's good. I didn't even think about see, it's funny, now I think I'll share the one that I also ask every intake, but
Mhm.
I wasn't thinking about this question that way.
Okay.
But I like that. So at the end, obviously, we discuss, like, goals, but I think it's right after I ask about goals, I'll ask, like, if you left therapy in a day, a month, a year, how would you wanna feel? And I
Uh,
like that question because sometimes and it's funny because 'cause I'll ask it right after I ask about their goals. And sometimes it's almost ironic that the feelings sound not related to the goals at all. And so depending on like how much time we have left, it's almost like the next session we kind of go into, okay, well, wait a minute. You said these were the goals, but this is how you want to feel. Do you think you could feel that way without reaching those goals? Or do you think those goals would make you feel that way. And so I think it's funny that sometimes like you answer one thing and then this other question right after that in a sense, they don't always like necessarily contradict, but sometimes I think they're like a funny combo. Like I'm like, wait a minute, that's your goal, but you want to feel this. And then in my therapist head, I'm like, girl, we got so much other work to do. Or I'm like, this is gonna come up in many other ways. We'll get there. Or
Yeah.
something like that. But that one I think for some reason when I ask about goals, I think people hopefully come in very prepared and are like, I am coming to therapy because I want to achieve this or I want to do this, or they know that one pretty well. But I tend to ask about how they want to feel and it like takes people a minute. They're like, oh, like I guess I'd want to feel more confident or whatever it might be. But you can tell they like have thought about the goal they want to achieve, but not necessarily how they'd want to feel about themselves or their life, which I find very funny.
I think I gotta take that one. We should
Yeah.
probably just do a whole, like, what are your intake questions? Because I think intakes are hard. I think that intakes can feel very impersonal,
Yeah.
and I'm always looking for better questions. So I really, really
See,
like that one.
I'm curious because I'll just answer you right now. I try to, well, not obviously in depth, but I basically try to do a biopsychosocial
Yeah.
without asking a ton of like more free flowing, if that makes sense. Because
Mhm.
I'll ask like what brings people in, or like depending on how our consult call went, I'm probably going to refer to like, hey, so on the consult call, you mentioned this and this, like, tell me more, or something like that. So I'm taking so many notes. And then as things kind of fall into different categories, I'm taking note of that. And then if maybe they start telling me a story or talking about a family member, I'm like, ooh, okay, is that the only sibling? Like I'm interjecting, which I know is one of our previous episodes, all the time. I'm constantly like, "Ooh, okay, wait a minute, wait a minute." And then together, divorced, like,
Yeah.
so I think I try to ask questions, but in a way I'm very client centered, which for people who aren't therapists means I really kind of let the client lead unless we're getting to a point or working on something in therapy that's naturally, I think, a little bit more therapist led. And so I think I try to let them have the floor and not feel like they're in an interview. But as they're telling me things, I'm trying to fill in the gaps that I need to get a biopsychosocial.
I like that.
Yeah, that's just kind of, I guess if that's a style, that's kind of my style with it. Are you more like very specific question driven?
Kind of because of the nature that why I get how do I say this? Yes. I am a little bit more structured
How do I say this? Yep.
because I see a lot of infidelity.
Mhm.
Right, and so they come in, and so during an intake, during their breakout sessions, like, I tend to have to ask very specific questions, and so people tend to come to me for, the same similar issues: communication, sex therapy, infidelity, betrayal, trauma, and so, yeah, like, I have to ask these specific questions to get this information, especially when working with couples. You only have this really one breakout session to get to know them, and so you're trying to understand them, but also build the context to bring them back together and get a treatment plan going.
Mhm.
So I really would love another time to hear like just individual first session intake, good intake questions because yeah, mine tend to be a little bit more structured.
We should take a note of that. That's a really good episode. Also, I think that's an important note to make too. Is not every, you're right. I think depending on what some people are coming for, especially if it's couples and it's like dire need, like things are really intense. This is what's like, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's as like free flowing of like, hey, so like, what do
Yeah,
you guys tell me about the first time you met? And you're just like, oh, okay, never mind. We're like code red, or like, this is a very specific structured thing we're working on that requires something different. But
exactly.
I guess I'm saying more so just like someone seeking therapy.
Mhm.
It's probably individual is when I'm a little more free flowing. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So, oh, I love that. Okay, that's fun. I'm going to take yours. You take mine.
I have one more point for you though.
Ooh, okay.
I really, really like your question because it does make me think of like, for example, when someone's coming in for sex therapy. Right? What they want out of this is to feel a certain type of way or to be able to do a certain type of thing, to have a certain type of relationship.
So
And
I
that's
want to have sex 5 times a week. And
yeah,
it's like, well, let's,
yeah, that's actually a really great question
yeah.
to kind of like set some healthy expectations. So yeah, great job. I
Yeah.
really like that question.
Thank you. It's so funny. I kind of feel like some because we do therapy, it's so isolated, and
Yeah.
I don't have a ton of therapist friends, or if I do, I don't normally talk about this stuff with them. So it is kind of fun to have another therapist like validate that. You're like, "Oh, thank you." And I can't believe I've never even thought to be like, "Hey, is there anything I haven't asked?"
Well, when you say it like that, it sounds very boring.
No, but it's a great question because I guess I'm just assuming I'm hoping because I'm letting people free flow,
Yeah,
they'll
yeah.
just say it, but it's sometimes nice to be, like, invited to say it. So, like, I wanna actively make sure I throw that in there at the end. So I love that. Oh, this is so fun already. Number 2, any memories or insights from your first therapy session?
Do I even remember my first therapy session? I honestly don't know if I remember my first therapy session. I don't know if I'm making this up.
Or,
I
like,
can,
one that was really early on when you were, like, a new baby therapist. I guess
yeah.
some people would still say we're baby therapists.
Okay. Give me the question one more time.
Like a fun memory or any memories or insights from like your first or one of your first therapy sessions that like you're reflecting back now and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, I can actually just reflect back on one of the earliest clients I've had.
Okay.
So I started off seeing it was a father and their child. Their kid must have been like 8, 9 years old. And I was originally assigned to the kid. So I would work with the kid in session. And then every couple of sessions, I would meet with the dad to kind of give him the update or some expectations, some homework that I expect them to be doing together. It was a rough situation. The parents weren't together. And this person also struggled with a condition that made it hard for them to walk. I forget what it's called.
Oh.
Is it cerebral palsy?
It could be. I think there's other ones too, but I have heard of cerebral palsy being one of those.
It was something where he had leg braces and
Oh.
he walked in a very,
MS? I don't know.
maybe I honestly can't remember. But why does this unit kind of stick out as so impactful to me is because number one, I worked with the kid and I don't work with children. And so to have that be one of my first things was a new experience. Number two, the dad, because of his condition, had grown up with a lot of judgment, had grown up with a lot of, he had a really tough exterior.
Yeah.
It was hard for him to parent because obviously his kid, I don't think fully understood the condition or what it meant and how it weighs on him and how he wishes that he could be as active and go out and do all these things and he can't and sometimes he just falls over and that's embarrassing because he wants to be at the school's functions and all this stuff. And so he came in a little bit skeptical. At the beginning of therapy, him and I butted heads a few times and then towards the end, we were together for about a course of a year because we stayed together throughout my entire traineeship. Towards the end, him and I just ended up starting to see each other a little bit. Like I started seeing him,
Mhm.
and we've had beautiful moments where he's just was vulnerable, cried, we laughed together, we just had a like just good sessions, and to think about that's where we started as almost like opposing forces because us not really understanding each other, him feeling a certain type of way about having a therapist be with his kid and what would like the implications of that, right? Probably thinking about CPS and what is it like, blah, 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 right? To then becoming two people that actually look forward to talking and hanging out with each other under the unified goal of like, hey, we're here to make sure that your kid is being taken care of. We're now like a part of like we're the care team, right?
Yeah.
You and I are on the same side, and to have some of the last conversations that we did, um, definitely showed me just like how just kind of like the growth process of therapy to go from one, from the kid to then move on to the dad and start to kind of like, is that okay? Work
Mhm.
on boundaries or my own understanding. So yeah, definitely a good experience for me.
So how long did you work with him for?
It was over a course of the years. So yeah, I think the kid was one of my first clients. And so that started at the beginning of my traineeship.
Yeah.
Then towards the end, and a little bit into when I got signed on as an associate because I stayed there as an associate. I believe that him and I still saw each other infrequently for maybe like a handful of sessions, and so it was probably about a year
Aw.
that this whole thing kind of took place.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I love that. It is funny too, because I don't know if you've heard this or maybe other people listening who are therapists have heard this. I always remember hearing that one of your first clients you will forever look back on, and it will probably be like one of the hardest, whether it's like an individual or it'll be like one of the hardest or like most difficult for whatever reason, people or clients for you to work with will probably be one of your first. And I
Right.
just find it interesting, not saying that this dad child combo seemed like difficult or so to speak, but I find it funny that he was one of your first clients and you're like, "I don't work with kids," and
Yeah.
that was a child, like a father-child combo, because that feels like it falls similarly in line with people being like, "Oh, yeah, one of those first experiences is gonna be ones that stick out to you," is like, "Oh, geez, yeah, like, that was I don't even work with that," or like, that was a, like, extra hard couple or something even compared to couples I work with now. So, I find that stuff I just think it's, like, funny how that works. It's, like,
Yeah.
very
It I wouldn't consider it like a difficult case. What I remember from that time is watching him walk down the halls. What I remember is playing Uno, like the 3
Mhm.
of them together, the 3 of us together. I remember us playing, like, a lot of games and trying to facilitate these conversations. I remember the 2 of us having, like, heart-to-heart conversations, and so it wasn't difficult in the sense, like, I didn't wanna work with these populations. I think what really makes it stand out is just that therapy really took on, like, a very humanistic
Yeah,
perspective.
you don't teach you that shit.
Yeah, this is what I thought therapy was gonna be, and that's not that it's wrong, right? I have many traditional therapy sessions, but to have one of my first ones be extremely humanistic that says, "Hey, none of that shit actually matters right now because you have such a unique dynamic here that uh, you can't intellectualize. Y These are just odd things that you never expected to be dealing with. Deal with."
It is this isn't the answer to the question, but that does really remind me, and I feel like it's important because I distinctly remember when I was going through this being like, "I wasn't prepared for this." I feel like they prepare you for anything can walk through that room.
Yeah.
Sure, maybe someone walks in and they're like, "Hi, Ollie, my parent's dying." I need to be prepared for that. What I wasn't prepared for was working with someone that was like, "We're working on, whatever." And then it's like, "Oh, haha, let me tell you funny stories with my parent." And then it was, "Oh, yeah, I gotta just, bring my parents some appointment next week. Let's not have our session that day." And then it was like, weird, the appointment kind of went south. And then it was like, something's really wrong, we think. And now they're dying and now they're dead.
Mm.
And you're like, what? And
Yeah.
you're just along the journey and you see the person in front of you actively going through all the different stages of this. And they didn't come in telling you that this is what we're going to work on. You like see them going through just these different stages of their life as it's actively happening right in front of them and it's throwing them off just as much as like it threw you off.
Yeah.
And so like I distinctly remember when I was doing that being like, "Whoa, this would be so different if this person came in day one and is like, hey, my parent is really sick and dying, and that's what I'm coming to therapy for." Like it felt like such a different experience to be like I didn't think I was going to be with people during when these things are actively happening to them. You're
Sure.
not just like afterwards helping someone cope with blah 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 time in my life, or it's like you're also watching them live their life in real time.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's like a trippy thing, like, "No, duh, they're coming in every week." It's like, I get it, but it's like when you're in the room and you experience it, it feels really different. So I get what you're saying where it's like, "Whoa, what I remember is, like, watching the dad walk down the" It's like, yeah, because that's different than sitting there talking to someone about their issues. It's like then when they leave your room, it's like you watch them live it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're like, "Shit."
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. It's it does feel like an "oh, duh" moment.
Yeah, but it's not. You feel it. It's like there's like a minute that it or a moment where it clicks and
Mm.
you're like, "Shit." Like I was prepared for anything to walk through and to be like, "I'm ready, give me your, like give me whatever you got." But it's different when you're in the room with someone, they get a phone call and they're like, "Ollie, I am so sorry. My sibling was just in a car accident."
Yeah.
And you're like, what?" Because it feels like in a sense you got oh god, that sounds horrible. I don't mean it's the same as us getting that call, but them being that thrown off is like you are just that thrown off in
Yeah,
that moment. You're like, "Holy crap, yeah, please."
yeah,
You know? So, that part was like, "Oh, they don't I was not trained on that." That was just kind of like a you live and you learn.
yeah.
Damn, mine okay, this got deeper. My original answer to this was that because I originally worked at an office, I will say I think my first therapy sessions were with kids at the school, and so it didn't quite feel like therapy. 'Cause it was, like, playing, but I remember the first time, like, I had the key to this office, like, me and my fiancé at the time, like, went to dinner to, like, celebrate that I, like, had a key to a therapy office that I did therapy at, like, it felt so huge, and I would, like, come home after work and, like, change from work clothes into whatever I don't know, what I deemed as were my therapy clothes, and I would put my glasses on sometimes because I was like, "Oh, I look like a therapist now. My glasses are huge." I was like, "Oh, this is perfect." I bring like, a cold beverage and my warm tea. I'm like setting up the room way too much for this like 50-minute session with this random person. Like way too much thought and energy went into all of this. But it's like I think I was that meme or any of those reels that you've seen of like therapist year one that are
Yeah.
just so endearing. And you're like, oh my God. You can tell they're like, I'm living the dream. And then now working like two doors down just in my house. And I'm like, doo doo doo. Oh, gotta make my coffee. I've got 10 minutes. I'll be fine. It's like it's so different. I think now, and not to say I don't like prep and I'm not ready. I think it's just you do thousands literally of sessions and you just get into more of a groove where you're more comfortable with things. Where I used to like, I've got their files open, I'm reviewing every note I've ever taken. I remember these things. I don't know why. I'd be like, okay, remember that is their spouse's name. That is their spouse's name. And I'm like, oh, you know their spouse's name. You're not going to mix up their spouse's name. It's okay. And so I think it's just those things really stick out to me where I'm like, oh, to be like, I do wish I could feel that again. What it felt like to like get your associate number.
Sure.
And I think that's why I wanna supervise so bad is because I know the feeling when you're like when you get a supervisor and you're like, "Okay, so I make a Psychology Today profile," and, like, people can just, like, call me whenever, and then if I can schedule. Like, if they call, I can, like, tell them when I'm free, and then they'll, like, come and pay me, like, $50. I'm like, "Oh my god, this is crazy."
I'm eating good tonight.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm like, "I'm not taking food from grandma's house today. I'm commuting an hour back and forth. I don't even care. $40 of the split. I'm living large." I was so happy. So I would love to feel that again. I don't wanna go back to living on that income and the amount of time that it took to do and get all those hours,
Mm,
but it is fun when you know you're so excited to be a therapist and just those first few sessions, I feel like nothing beats that feeling. Or like now, I think I so casually I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'm a therapist." And I do miss when it felt like, "I'm a therapist." And it's like, "Are you gonna ask me, like, a ton of questions? Isn't it, like, the coolest job ever?" I know, right? And other people are just like, "Cool." They don't give a shit. And you're like, "I'm a marriage and family therapist." It's the coolest job ever.
you're adorable.
Did you not feel that way?
No.
What? I thought everyone felt that way.
Don't get me wrong, like, I was very excited to start. Like, I know what you're talking about, like, the pride in
Yeah,
doing the thing, right? That's super exciting,
yeah,
especially this is something I've shared before, like, my mom always wanted me in a hospital,
yeah.
and so to be able to do it this way, it's like, I'm doing it, it's so cool. But outside of that, like, again, this demeanor never goes above a 3. Like, we are just perpetually too chill for our own good. Um, I never dressed up. I'm wearing the same style of clothes I did. I didn't have work clothes. I didn't have any of that, and so, yeah, I wish I can be as enthusiastic as you, and that's why I love you so much, right?
Thank you.
Vicariously through you, I just love seeing how energetic and it's like, If only I could be so lively, but no.
Well, see, but now I'm very glad that that's channeled differently. I still love my job. I still like I just got back from a week-long trip, which I still saw people, but it felt different, and I don't think I saw as many, so it was nice to be back in, like, my house and being like, "Oh, like, I get to wake up today. I'm gonna make my coffee." Like, "Oh, I'm so excited. I'll sit down." I had, like, early morning appointments, so I'm like, got my blanket. I'm like, "Oh, yes." Like, I'm so ready. But no, I get so jazzed every day.
It's funny because I remember seeing the U's walk
Yeah,
into the therapy.
that was me.
Yeah, they walked into the site. I see them. I'm like, "You are wearing too many layers. Why do you have multiple canteens of whatever?" You know,
Because you don't know what beverage you're gonna need and you're like, "I need to be prepared."
for what?
You never know.
There's a
You
water
never know.
fountain outside.
The best part is, like, I'm, like, going around trying to, like, straighten up this office that, like, isn't mine. Also, like, wonderful room, but if it was my office, like, I would it was too big of a room, like, there was, like, a couch, multiple chairs, like, it was a huge room that I don't think was, like, a cozy necessarily, like it wasn't ideal, but I'm, like, going around fixing books that aren't mine. I'm like, "These are on the opposite side of the room." Like, the person is not and also, like, she also did child therapy, so it's like a lot of this stuff is 0% necessary. Like, I don't know why, but it's like I took pride. I was like, "This is a representation of myself as a therapist." It's like my Hispanic grandmother always said, "Your nails" oh god, which right now they're not, but "Your nails always have to be done because that is a representation. Someone will shake your hand, look at your nails, and they will judge you and your whole life, and they better be put together." She also said you better not be fat, but, I think that was just more of her traditional Argentinian culture. Okay, next question. I love the questions. Number 3. Okay, a therapy session that really sticks with you to this day, if you have one, and why?
Therapy session that really sticks to you to this day and why? Do you have one?
I don't know if I've shared it before. The negative one that really sticks with me is I had a couple that the husband was very aggressive. And this is all over teletherapy. At this point, I'm all teletherapy. And actually, the next session, I went in to basically break up with them, and only the wife showed up, and
Yeah.
it was mutual. But yeah, it was just where like this husband made me feel so uncomfortable. And it was just like, you will not talk to me and it wasn't even mostly me, it was mostly his spouse. I was like, you will not do that here. And I referred them to like male kind of like directive therapists that were older. Like it was just a mix of so many things that I think made it where it did not work. And he just did not respect me or his wife at all.
Mm,
And that was tough. I don't think I ever came out of a session feeling like I was so happy we weren't in person. I was like, I don't know how I would have handled that in person. And I think I honestly might have like just kicked them out.
okay, I can go bittersweet.
Yeah.
I once had a couple break up.
Um,
I've had a few people break up, but the one that I'm talking
well,
about,
then that means you're not a good therapist. Just kidding. Sorry. You know me and
the
Danny's humor. That was a joke.
one that I'm talking about specifically is that they had been working on trying to get their relationship back on track, and they did all the work. They did everything that we're supposed to do, and that led them to the conclusion that they were better off alone.
Hmm.
So they did what they came in to do, and
Yeah.
the result that they got.
I
But
think that's a great example. Sorry, not to cut you off, of sometimes the goal or the things that people want might not always actually be the resolution that they're aiming
yeah.
for.
Yeah, yeah. And so the reason why this one sticks out is because they chose to come in to separate. They chose to come in to formally, let each other know that we're ending the relationship, and they wanted me to be a part of that, not as a mediator, but as someone who was genuinely a part of the process to getting them to that conclusion. They felt it important to include me in that. Like almost all three of us were kind of coming to the end, and to kind of get closure for all three of us. I thought it was really, really sweet. It taught me two things. Like one, it reinforced the thing that you just said, right? Is yeah, the joke is that I must not be a good therapist, but then no, like is this actually what we're going for? My job is to help people have a good relationship. I make no guarantees that the two people that walk in the room are the ones who are supposed to be having that good
Yeah.
relationship, that they're able to have that good relationship, right? And sometimes helping people uncouple is actually the most ethical thing you can do. rather than trying to make excuses for an unhealthy couple to keep going.
Yeah.
And so, one, it taught me to really kind of work on that. Like, this is what you signed up for. This is one of the options, is that not everyone is actually going to stay together. The second thing is just like how authentic the relationship actually was to be invited into a conversation like that. S-
Mhm.
Yeah, that one really kind of sticks out to me.
Okay, well, that also reminds me, I remember this has now happened a few times, but the first time someone came, their spouse had a diagnosed personality disorder, and they came because they're like, "Listen," whether it was like financial reasons, children, whatever it might be, they're like, "I am staying in this marriage. You need to help me figure out how to put up with this person with a personality disorder who I don't think I like. At some other point, I don't think I want to be with, but it's not right now. So help me figure out how to like make it good enough." And I remember being like, "Is this even ethical?" I'm like, "Oh my god!" And that's when I was still like an associate. And so my supervisor is like, "Yeah, if that's their goal, you help." I mean, obviously their goal's not unless it's like trying to hurt someone or something or themselves. We've all got limits here, but she's like, "Yeah, no, if that's their goal, it's not hurting anyone. Doesn't need to be your goal. It doesn't need to be with something you agree with. Like, help them get to their goal."
Mm,
And I was like, that's yeah, like, that's totally right, and again, it was something that I think in that moment, like you were saying, you realized, like, not everyone's it's not always the goal to try to stay together, and
yeah.
that's how I felt. I was like, "Oh, sometimes people are going to want things that even they know aren't." It's like, yeah, sure, the goal isn't to be, like, the happiest I can be, the healthiest I can be. It's like, life is also life sometimes. This is what I need, let's make it work. And
Yeah.
it's like, "Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense." And it's like my own personal opinions or biases or judgments, it's like, it's not my job. And I was like, "Whoa." So, and since then, it's happened a few more times. And I'm like, "This is interesting."
Hmm.
Yeah, but those are kind of fun. So that taught me, I think, a lot just as a therapist. It was like and it was just funny each week when you saw that person, you're like, "Oh, I know we're just basically gonna talk about things that sound wild and are, in other settings, you'd be like, "Are we putting up with it?" And for this, it's just like, "Okay, cool, cool, cool." So when they do that, like, what's our chess move? And it was crazy. It was really
Yes.
interesting. There's on.
It's a
Okay.
good point.
Oh, I love these. The next one, was there ever a time question number 4, was there ever a time in therapy, like in a session, where you had to actively ground yourself? Or I put, when you were particularly, and in quotations, triggered? Because I know that can be kind of a buzzword now, but just was there ever a time you felt so, like, dysregulated or something happened in session that you even kind of in the moment had to be like, "I need to, like, get a hold on myself right now?"
No,
Mr. Even Keeled? Do you even No, I've never felt anything other than just totally calm and fine. No, never experienced that ever in life.
no, I've never been triggered in that sense. There
Yeah.
have been times where I've needed to like slow down. And so
Okay.
I have worked with one couple and they did this twice where they just exploded, yelled, there's nothing you can do to manage them, and then eventually one person gets up, slams the door and literally leaves. It's happened to me, same couple, at least twice.
Oh my god.
And
This
so
is why when you say for you it's easier to do couples and individuals, I think you're effing crazy. I see that and I'm like, "No hourly rate is enough." I'm like, "God, it's a Tuesday, people, at 2 p.m."
yeah, yeah, this was a late night. These are like Thursday at 7s,
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
after a long week, this is
Oh,
how I'm
no.
ending it, and the reason why I would have to, like, ground myself, breathe, is because they would leave the other motherfucker in the room. They both didn't get up and leave, one did.
You're like, "God, can you guys at least get on the same page when you're gonna storm out? Like, can we just have some rules here?"
Yeah, the other person would stay there either crying or extremely upset and pensive, and so it's like, "Okay, how do I talk this person down?" While also just coming off of the fact that you guys just yelled at each other for a solid minute, and then one just left. And so I've had a few times where it's like, "That sucked.
Yeah,
Let's, how you doing, man? Like,
yeah,
you good? What are we gonna do?" You know? So I've had to have a few moments where I've just kind of bring myself down and focus and make sure that the next thing that comes out of my mouth is helpful
yeah.
because I can't make a joke And I also like, even though that person left, it's still my job to represent them in a
Yeah.
healthy way. Definitely times where I've seen a lot of stuff happen in one moment and then have to just completely switch gears in the
Yeah.
next. So that's
Ooh. Okay. Okay. That at least makes me feel like you're more human and you've been shaken by things.
yeah.
I'm trying to think. I weirdly enough, we've talked about this before. Whenever I've told people, or more like recently, I would say, if I've ever said I'm a therapist or I'm doing things in different settings and meeting other people, my number one response that people give me is like, "Oh my God, like I could never. Like I could never hear people's stories. I could never like just deal with that all day. Like it'd be way too much." I don't think I've ever had a moment in session where I was like, this is too much or this is crazy. Like I've definitely been like, oh geez, like heavy day. But like nothing's ever like rattled me, I guess, or so to speak. And nothing really surprises me for
Mhm.
better or worse. But I'd say like earlier on, I would get a little more in my head, I think, about like just wanting to be, obviously like a good therapist and knowing like I'm not going to be perfect my first, like, what, probably 5 years at this or ever. But I mean, it's like, it takes a long time to like build tons of skills. And, it's like I've got nothing on therapists that probably been doing this for like 20 or 30 years and are genuinely super passionate and care. And so I think I'd get a little more in my head or have to do that thing where you like kind of squeeze your thighs to be like, "It's cool, girl, it's cool. Like you got this." So I think I did a little more of that stuff earlier on. And then I think I felt triggered by. No, I don't love yelling. I do not like yelling. But also, it's like I think it's nice that there's ground rules, and the only time someone's ever really yelled is couples, if that, if that. And so I think it's a little easier to like manage because it's very clearly like, pause, we've made agreements. Like, what are we doing here? But I think maybe earlier on I did more of the like, especially through teletherapy is nice because you can't see like what's happening. It's like I'd have a little fidget in my hand or I'd like squeeze my knees or something that kind of keep me in place.
Hmm.
Now, if anything, I think sometimes with my endometriosis, I'll get hit by so much pain so suddenly that and I know I have every right to like communicate that with clients I've known with forever or I've met with forever. And like I get that there's different ways I could go about it. But personally, for the most part, I try to just kind of like keep it to myself. And so there have been a few sessions where like 15 or 20 minutes in, I'm like, oh, the rest of this is going to like I need to like really try to focus on what people are saying because I'm so rattled by pain that I'm like, I don't want this to like intervene with how they think I'm treating them, or I don't just want to like cut this off to be like, all right, I'm so sorry. I need to go take something. And so that has been a little difficult to manage at times. But I think that's my version of being like rattled or yeah, I wouldn't say like triggered. But there are moments that I'm a little like, oh shoot, how do I get through the next like 20 minutes of this?
That's crazy. Like, so many times I'm just amazed by women. And again, these are like duh moments, right? Being on your period. Like, yeah, of course you're gonna be. But to think about some people, like with you with endometriosis and other people who just have really painful periods, like how you guys just pull through.
Well, and I mean, like, thank God mine also is very TMI. Sorry to our 13 listeners that are probably all women. But it's like maybe there's like a few days. Like I'll have like a day or two where I mean it's like this device, maybe or maybe not opiates. It's like anything like heating pads strapped to my front, my back. Like it's truly it feels like my spine is separating from my body. I've been on like endometriosis groups to try and just see what other people do or some people get these symptoms all the freaking time. Like they literally it's like having I've heard people that have like migraine conditions they can't hold jobs. And I totally get it. It's like
Mhm.
chronic pain.
Fair.
And I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't imagine. I'm like, thank God mine lasts maybe 48 hours a month. But even that 48 hours, I constantly am thinking, like, shit, like, I hope this lands on a day that I don't have a ton of clients because I can't control it. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, if there's anyone out there in medical care or is doing anything to do research for women, thank you because it's so freaking hard. But I think that's my version of trying to stay like centered and grounded. The things that I think present day shake me are like medical things. And as awful as it sounds, that is a part of why I'm very happy that I work from my home. And at least in between sessions, I can like take care of myself. Or it's like, yeah, now I think of like the idea of being somewhere all day.
Hmm.
And no matter what job it was, there's certain days of a month I think I'd have to straight up take off or ask to be at home And
Yeah.
it's like, if I couldn't do that, that's when I'm like so thankful our job exists.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Crazy. Okay, number 5, a humbling experience you've had during a therapy session. Can you think of any?
Humbling experience. When I think of the word humble, I'm thinking of being made aware of my growth areas. Like I have like these human experiences where people are like, "Oh my god, you're so amazing! Like this actually changed our life," and blah blah blah. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we've said a few positive ones already, and so I'm purposely trying to think of the the other half of humbling, and that is being made aware of my growth areas, which I still think is good, but that's where my head
Yeah.
is going. Um,
Wait, let me give you mine because I'm curious if this is even an example of humbling or if I have the word wrong. Because I had one that immediately came to mind.
okay,
And now I'm like, "Oh, I don't know if that's my growth areas." I've had a few we've talked about this. I've had a few clients over the years that are refugees or are of a very different religion than I was brought up with or know much about, being Muslim. And it was very like, I have just had multiple sessions where people are just talking about their life or their experiences, or that I am just sitting there being like, "Holy shit." Like, not that I don't think these things exist. I've, like, traveled, I have family in other countries that are not, like, first world, like, but just, like, talking to someone and being their therapist and them trusting you with these things and referring other people in their communities to me has to me, is what I feel is, like, incredibly humbling. Because 'Cause I'm
and
like, "Wow." Like, I'm honored that you, like, get along with me and that you like me as your therapist, knowing that I don't, it's like I have not lived a life anything like yours. I don't have a religion or a culture like yours. And to be, like, trusted by those people and for them to just, like, share things in their life that's like, "Huh, like, thank God I've never had to go through any of these things." I have just felt, like, very humbled by that experience. I don't know if I have the wrong definition of humbled. Okay. But I think you're right too though, where, yeah, humbling would also be like, "Ooh, point of growth." Like that's where that's made apparent, I could see that too. But this is what initially came to my mind when I thought of the question, is I was like, "Phew." Like, I meet with certain people and I'm like, "Wow." I am incredibly humbled by them and their stories in their life.
yeah, no, I love that, and I think I might just have to follow suit. I think working with couples is always a humbling experience.
Yeah.
Like the amount of things that we talk about in a day, I honestly just can't wait to go home and just see my partner.
Aw.
Like that is a humbling experience to think about. Like, yeah, I can it's humbling in the sense that you kind of sit back at the end of a long day and realize like everything you do actually does matter, right? There are wonderful people that are in relationships. There are people who good people and they're struggling
Yeah.
despite their best efforts. There are people who you have no idea why they're in a relationship and they just won't break up, right? And so you understand that it takes more than love. It takes more than just finding the right person because even the right person you're going to have all these problems with. And so
Yeah.
having a long day of working with the people that I do is always very humbling because it's like, okay, not only did I walk them through that, like I know what I'm doing, but also in realizing how much I practice what I do in a session,
Yeah.
that I get to go home and really kind of see the benefits of that. And so, yeah, just every day is a humbling experience. I don't take it for granted because I really do love the work that I do. And I also know like the sacrifice that we make with me being at work so often. Every hour with them is an hour I'm not with my kid, is not with my wife. But to just kind of come home with so much gratitude, I think just work in general is very humbling.
Well, and that's you also like the existential theory very much, so I feel like you'll resonate with this, but that's why when people, I think, give this like, "My gosh, I could never hear all these, like, awful things," or be like what someone like, you see the worst part of people's lives or their day, and that's your, like, every hour of every day.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm just dark and wired the wrong way, but, like, it just gives me perspective. And I'm just like, either A, I'm glad I'm honored that I'm the person that you wanna share this to or that you wanna help you work through it, or
Mhm.
yeah, it just gives me perspective, and when I go back to my life, I'm like, "I'm so thankful." It's like I think it's almost like a nice balance, or it helps me see like, wow, everyone struggles. We're
Yeah,
all
yeah,
just human and trying our best and like fucking up in some way or another. Like life's just fucking handing it to us.
yeah,
And so I don't view it as like depressing. I actually view it as like very uplifting and like uniting in a
yeah,
weird way, I guess.
yeah, exactly.
But
Right.
oh my God. Okay. Sorry. I love these. Okay. I think three more. Three more.
Okay.
No, two more. I lied. I'm bad at counting. Two more. Number six. Something a client has taught you that has stuck with you, if there's any.
No one has ever I can't recall any time someone has taught me.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing because I'm being bad. I'm picturing you being, I haven't thought of any time any clients have taught me anything. I know you're not saying it like that. My mind's going there. Just having
I'm
a great
thinking
day.
way too hard about this question. All right. Easy answer. Yeah. I work with a beautiful nurse in love with this client. And one thing that they taught me is that you can give yourself like covered like broad coverage if you space out ibuprofen and Advil or like Excedrin and Advil, like acetaminophen and
Yeah.
ibuprofen, because they're filtered through the body differently, and so you can't like you're not going to overdose. And I'm using very simplistic language, right? If
Yeah.
any,
Like we are not nurses. That is why you learned this.
yeah, please don't come at me or
Don't
try
listen
and
to
quote me
us.
directly.
Do not take our advice.
But because of how they're filtered through the body differently, you can take them and you can stack them in such a way that you will give yourself consistent coverage. You're not going to come down from the painkiller, and you're also not going to mess your body up.
Oh, that's great.
Right? That's not has nothing to do with therapy, but I love this person for the amount of knowledge that they're always willing to share. I think that they would make an amazing teacher,
Yeah.
and they are great at what they do. I just love listening to this guy.
Ooh. Okay. For sure. I've gotten stuff like that before, which I'm not remembering exact examples, but I know after sessions there are times I've written things down because I'm like, the more you know.
Yeah.
Or it's like I'll have clients that are over the years for some reason, I've gotten a lot of lawyers, like way more than doctors. I don't know why I compare the two, but I've gotten a lot more lawyers than doctors. And I've just learned random things about like how law works, or they'll be like, oh yeah, Ollie, like if you need this, like go this route, don't go that route. Or like, oh yeah, a lot of people don't think this, but and I'm like, that's really good to know.
Yeah.
So it's like I'll learn random facts like that. But one that I think is funny is I am not a quote person. And I had a session with one client where she was just like talking about something and she was just like, oh, like I lament that we have one life to live. Like there's too much to learn. And I literally wrote it down because I was like, I've never resonated with something more. And it's not so much that I like learned it, it just really stuck with me because I was like, oh, and like what a perfect word. Like I also lament that we have one life to live. That's why I think I want to believe we don't, you know, it's like we've been here before. And so but like the way she said it too was like so she felt it. And I think I'm such a person who feels life, you know, I don't live it. I think I feel it. And I'm like, oh, like, yes, like I lament that we have one life to live. And so that one's really, really stuck with me because I'm like, girl, I think I knew you before. I don't tell her that. But I in my head, I'm like, we've met before. We were like homies
I love
in
that.
another life. We had to have been.
Yeah, I think that's part of the another reason why I think our job is so fun is
Yeah.
that you get to spend just so many you get to live so many lives
Yes.
just by meeting so many different
And when
people.
else would I be friends with, like, 50 and 60-year-olds? Never.
Right.
That'd probably be, like, weird. Or, like, where would I meet them? I don't know. But,
Mm,
like, I'm talking with so and so now about her yarn club and, like, all the yarn club drama, and I love it. And
yeah,
I'm like, "We would have never been friends." Like, this is I love living this with you.
mhm, yeah, that's fun.
It is so wonderful. My god, that was a yep, these are good. Yeah, but then you do randomly learn just those, like, Snapple facts from people, and you're like, "This is I love learning this." You're like, "Thank you."
Yeah.
And so, okay, final question. What are some favorite I'm not gonna make it plural. What is a favorite homework assignment you have and why? Because I know we're both homework therapists a lot, some aren't. Danny and I both love homework. What's one that you're like is either a go-to or you're like, "Ooh, one of my faves."
One of my favorite things to do and one of the most consistent pieces of homework that I offer is the Four Horsemen.
Oh,
Is I love going over that. That is an early intervention that I do in session, and it is something that I give a little worksheet, I give a little reference page, I send it home to them, and I say, over this week, if you do nothing more than stop these things, You guys would have done a great job. Even if you
Yeah.
spend the entire week not talking and you come in the next session ready to fire me because you're like, "Hey, Danny, you told us not to do this, and now we haven't spoken at all, and we hate you." That I think you would have done a great job because what you've decided this week is you've decided that the health of your marriage is more important than your raw, unfiltered expression. And even though you don't know how to get through something, you said, "Hey, stopping the bleeding is more important." There's still value in that, and you did it. It gives good language, it gives
Yeah.
good things for them to look at, it's simple to apply to life, and yeah, I like it.
Yeah. This is a Gottman therapy reference for
Yeah.
people who the Four Horsemen, that concept is Gottman therapy. Danny, one of the reasons why I love you is because I can see you being like, if you guys just do this, come in next week, fire me. A plus. That's
Yeah.
great. This is why I love you. Cause I'll tell people all the time, especially in couples, when I'm like trying to kind of like, okay, this person's saying this, like let's pivot. It's like I'm going back and forth from one to the other. I'm like, let me know if I'm getting this wrong. Tell me to fuck off whenever you want. It's like I like to invite people or, like, hopefully try and make the mood very, like, "No, no, no, like, you correct me if you think I'm getting something wrong," or like, "Yeah, you guys can come in next week, fire my ass." Be like, "You know nothing." I'd be like, "That's fine." I was like, "But I would like you to keep trying these things afterwards." And so it's like I appreciate that you're like that too, because A, I think it brings, like, a lightheartedness into something that can be really scary
Mhm.
or, like, heavy for people. But I also think I hope people realize, like, yes, is this how I make my livelihood? Absolutely. But, like, I almost don't really give a shit. I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, I'm here because I want to help people. I'm very glad I can pay my bills. Thank you, all my clients. But it's like, I'm not here to be like, "Ooh, how do I milk people for," like, "I think you might actually need 2 sessions a week." It's like, I'm not like that at all.
Mm.
I'm very just like, "I wanna help you," and once this starts being, like, not fun for either of us or there's no movement on your end, it's like, that doesn't make my job easy either. And it's like, "No, no, no, I don't want you wasting your money or your time. Like, we're not doing this."
Yeah.
So, I love that you're also like, "You can just not even talk to each other and fire me next week, and, like, you're doing great."
Yeah. I say that because that's actually happened before.
Nice.
I say that because that has actually
Yeah.
happened. I've gone through a Gottman 4 Horsemen exercise, and I gave them the worksheet, I gave them the instructions, and they came back the next week, and they actually said, "Danny, we think that this might be our last session because we came in here really hoping to kind of improve our communication, and we haven't spoken to each other all week." And I was like, "What the hell? Tell me more. What's going on? You told us that we couldn't do this. And so, I can't explain it this way. I can't share myself this way. I can't do this again." And so it's like, so you took the exercise and you did what you were supposed to. And then you found out that unless you guys are being hypercritical of one another, defensive,
You, like, can't talk.
contemptuous, you guys just can't talk. You noticed that and you decided at the very least, we're not going to keep doing that. And they're like, yes. I'm like, that sounds like you had a great week. That sounds like a huge improvement
Yeah.
that you saw what you were doing and you were able to stop it. Needless to say, they kept on coming back.
Oh, so they did?
Yeah, because
Okay,
they're
so they
like,
weren't really fired. You were, like, fake fired.
yeah, because they were on the verge of it, and then they saw it, and they're like, "Oh, this is a part of the process." I'm like, "Yes, come inside, please. Let's get to work."
Oh,
Yeah.
exactly. I
Mhm.
think the ones are interesting where I think have you ever gotten this? I've gotten people that come to a first session that are like, basically, "Heads up, I'm shopping around." Like, "Sell me on you," or like, "I'm picking someone else." And I'm like, "This is a really interesting tactic, like, I don't know how you think I'm gonna respond to it." Okay. I'm like, "I'm just gonna start asking you questions, I guess."
Mhm.
And all those people have come back. I just find it really funny because 'cause I'm like, like, I'm also not a competitive person, so no part of me is like, like, "How do I win them over?" Or like, "Oh,
Right.
no." Like, I'm very like, "Okay, well, yeah, if you're not digging me, you should go find there's lots of us out there. You should go find someone else. That'd probably be a really good idea." So those are always trip me up, just in the sense that I don't know what to do or how I'm supposed to respond to it, or if people really think about what they're looking for in a response. Because 'cause I'm just kind of like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Like, "Hey, I'm Ollie, what brings you in?" I'm like, "I don't really know what to say to that, but hello."
Yeah, same thing. Same thing. I don't take that bait.
Yeah, I'm like, "I don't know what," but, like, the thing too is I don't know what the bait is, and I don't know if some clients know what the bait is. I
I
wonder if
agree.
they're just like, "Say it." And you're
Yeah.
like, Okay, my favorite color is forest green. Let's begin now." You're like, "Should we both just say things randomly? I don't know. Why not?" Okay. Oh, my homework assignment. The zones of regulation. I think that one, just because my green, yellow, red, it works with kids for dealing with their emotions. It's great for couples when they argue and to help with like communicating to one another, like where they're feeling. So whether it's someone I think who's just trying to figure out their like how to process their own emotions and kind of where they're at and what they need to calm down or how to communicate with other people. I've gotten just such good feedback from it from like all age groups, couples versus individual, no matter what someone's dealing with. It's funny. That's the one. There's maybe three or four, but that's one of the ones that I think people come in and they're like, oh my God, Ollie, like when you told us about that, it's like we use that all the time. And I'm like, oh, that's great. So that one I think I use a lot, even more so than what I think it was originally designed for, but it just always comes in handy.
I love it.
Yay! Those were my questions for this week. That was fun. Liked that. Those were good.
Yeah, this was good.
Yay! I'm so happy, and I'm glad you had some time. We all know Danny's more of the, that was gonna sound bad. I was like, "He's more of the thinker." I'm like, "I think too, I promise." But no, you like to process things, see the questions and all that ahead of time, and so I'm glad that you got to come up with some good examples because I hope this helps other therapists out there or even people curious about the field or give you some insight as to things you might face as a therapist or things that your therapist is also maybe considering or has to kind of process and work through sometimes.
Yeah, and if you are someone who is a client or getting therapy, I hope that this episode gives you a little insight that, no, you are very impactful to us.
Oh my
We
gosh, yeah.
you change us.
I think clients change I'm gonna bold statement, I think clients change therapists way more than we change clients.
Yeah.
I think so. But like you said, it's like it gives us we almost live so many lives or look into so many lives,
Mm.
whereas, like, we are their therapist. Not to say that, like, you won't have a few different therapists over the course of your life,
Yeah.
but I think it's ridiculous to think that I have more impact on someone's life than they have on mine. I'm just learning shit every day. I'm a sponge. I meet with people and I'm like, "Oh my god," and then you see someone the next hour and you're like, "Who?" I don't know. I just feel like at each I just get fired up all day long. That's
Mm.
basically my job.
Yeah. So thank you, clients.
Thank you, clients. Everyone. All 13 of you. If you are going to therapy. Yay! Okay, Danny, perfect. I'll see you for the next one.
All right. See you next time.